TM Pick and Pay. Real value always. It's time for the news.
Good evening and welcome to the main news. I am Tariro Manamike with Peaceway Shomanyika at our Sign Language Desk, and we're coming to you live from our Pocket Hill studios in Harare.
And I'm Justin Matlatla. Later on, we will be joined by Dora Ngube from our Montreal studios in Bulawayo, and these are tonight's top stories.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa maintains he will not go beyond his stipulated term in office.
In other news, 13 people marooned at Lisungwe Island in Chipinge rescued.
And in business, increased industrialization and economic activities spur fuel consumption in Zimbabwe.
Mighty Warriors head to Angola for the Africa Women Cup of Nations first leg qualifier. That and more when we take a look at sport.
Those were our leading stories. We now give you the news in detail. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has maintained that he will operate within the confines of the Constitution and will not go beyond his stipulated term in office.
He was responding to questions during an interactive session with editors from different media organizations at State House in Harare this Monday. Our chief correspondent, Ruben Barwe, has that report.
The first interaction of the President, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, and senior journalists in the country from both the private and public media opened a new chapter in the first and fourth estates of his state. The President, Comrade Mnangagwa, gave his take on his constitutional mandate and the succession matrix as journalists repeatedly asked the same question.
I have two terms, and these terms are very definite. And I'm so democratic. When they come to an end, I'll step aside and my party will elect my successor. That is as clear as day. Those who have other imaginations, it's a democratic society for people to dream. But facts will take the day. It's not imaginable that there is anybody in the country who can push me. I feel very unpushable. My two terms, when they come to an end, the country and the party will move on by electing my successor. That is clear the day. I'll persuade the persuaders, not to persuade them.
He also said the people out there who sometimes speak or denigrate the leadership do not know the ZANU-PF tradition and ethos, the do's and don'ts.
I think those who really are ZANU-PF at heart go by the rules and decorum of ZANU-PF. We have other people who are in ZANU-PF who in themselves are not ZANU-PF, but they dress the ZANU-PF regalia. So you must always see when people talk and they see to which camp they belong as they open their mouths.
President Mnangagwa also spoke on the bright economic prospects following the good rains this year.
As a country or as an economy, would have wanted to be better than the way we are. But challenges continue to face every single economy, not only for Zimbabwe, the entire region, or perhaps as a continent. But I'm happy that as Zimbabwe, we are rising up to the challenge. And we are doing utmost best to manage our economy and the challenges facing it. And fortunately, recently we've had good rains, and our economy is basically agricultural. And having a good season is a huge impetus with regard to a positive trajectory with the growth of our economy. And I'm happy that our people are embracing this good season we're having.
On the economic sanctions on Zimbabwe's neighbor, South Africa, the president had this to say.
I can assure you that those who impose sanctions on other countries should have learned a lesson. Zimbabwe growth was faster when we were under sanctions than before sanctions. Mm-hmm. So if you want the economy to grow fast, you impose sanctions. So we are a good lesson. We have developed and grown our economy under sanctions. I don't think South Africa would be an exception.
The president promised journalists to have more of such interaction. And media personnel also spoke of the dire stress they are going through in their respective media houses in terms of equipment, working capital, to mention but a few. To which the president said his office will look into it. Ruben Barwe, ZPC News, Teta Sarare.
Viewers, please note that a special program on President Emmerson Mnangagwa's interface with media editors will be broadcast soon after this news bulletin. Now, the Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honorable Winston Chitando, says the mining sector is expected to rake in close to $7 billion in export proceeds this year, and we get the details in the upcoming report.
Investments made last year in the mining sector are now bearing fruit as volumes of commodities are expected to increase, and prices on the international market have already started to firm. In an exclusive interview with ZBC News this Monday, the Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honorable Winston Chitando, gave an overall outlook for the mining sector this year.
We are looking essentially at three things. Firstly, in increased firming up of commodity prices. As you are aware, commodity prices were very subdued for the year 2023-2024 especially. So in 2025, we expect commodity prices to start firming up. So that will obviously have an impact in terms of our revenue generation. From a volume perspective, we expect an increase in the volumes of mineral production in all sectors, subsectors of the mining industry. We expect continued expansions. We have a number of mining entities who are undertaking huge expansions.
Meanwhile, the Chamber of Mines has raised concern over the revised 70% retention announced in the monetary policy statement, which the minister said will be dealt with.
We anticipated that in 2025, the industry is going to grow by 7%, but with these reductions now, we understand some of our members, if not revisited, can actually scale down. Most of our members had planned this current year to expand and to direct a lot of funding into beneficiation facilities.
Yes, there has been a recent policy, change in terms of retention. And we will be engaging the Chamber of Mines and the Zimbabwe Miners Federation to look at the numbers, to interrogate the numbers and what the position is, and if need be, we'll be discussing on a whole of government approach to see how we can assist the sector.
Minister Chitando further said the bulging mineral reserves at the central bank, as announced by the RBZ Governor Dr. John Mushayabanu in his monetary policy statement, attests to the effectiveness of government policy to ensure that the mining sector makes meaningful impact to the economy. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
And still in mining, Bindura-based gold miner Ren Mine is on an expansion drive to significantly boost production in a move set to increase its ore processing capacity from 23,000 to 40,000 tons per month.
After installing a new mill in December, Ren Mine is opening up a new pit for open cast mining to increase ore supply. The expansion also entails installation of additional crushers and leach tanks.
From what you see there, we are still to go another 40 meters down within the life expectancy of this pit. So we effectively have 12 months to mine out this resource as well as develop and design what's required up the hill.
With the additional mill that we've put in, we have the capacity to process 23,000 tons of ore per month. Before the end of next year, we'll be doing 40,000 tons per month. Obviously, the amount of gold varies according to what the grade of the ore at the end of the day.
After its closure in 2009, Ren Mine reopened in 2020 as a result of Australian and Malaysian investors heeding government's call that Zimbabwe is open for business. Economist Edward Nyekete says the mine has become a key economic driver.
Ren Mine pakavhura 2020 yakatanga ine vashandi vashomani close to 30 people. Izvozvi yaane almost 200 workers. Uye iri kuradza development iri kumhanyidzana nemuono waPresident wa2030 we-middle income economic class by 2030.
At least $6 million United States has been invested in resuscitation of the mine, with investment expected to reach about $18 million United States. Other mines that were resuscitated in Mashonaland Central since 2018 include Eureka Gold Mine and Shamba Gold Mine. The mining sector is considered critical to the achievement of National Development Strategy 1 objectives and attainment of an upper middle income society by 2030. Tapiwa Machemedze, ZBC News, Bindura.
13 people who were marooned at Lisungwe Island in Chipinge have been rescued following a 2-day operation. The island is on the Save River in the Mahenge area, which lies between Chipinge and Chirezi districts.
The rains recently experienced in the country have resulted in water levels along Save River increasing, with 15 people who practice farming at Lisungwe Island having been marooned. However, 13 of the marooned people have since been rescued by the Chipinge District Civil Protection Unit, CPU, which received assistance from Mahenge Chilogoji Lodge and Gonarejo Conservation Trust.
Yesterday, Sunday, 16 February 2025, takatambira mashoko ekuti kune vanhu vekwa Mahenge vakavharirwa nerwizi Save pa-island inonzi Lisungwe. Vanhu ava vanga vari 10 patakatanga kunzwa mashoko aya. Takaita effort tikabata mapartners atinosenza nawo, vana Chilo neGonarejo Conservation Trust, vakaenda paground and managed to rescue vanhu vatanhatu 6. Nenyaya yekuti kwanga kwadoka, takafunga kuti toita resume basa zvanhasi. Nhasi kwaendiwa tabva takwanisa kuita rescue vanhu 7, zvichireva kuti namba yedu yakabva yakwira kubva pa10 kuenda pa13. Vaitwa rescued ava vazotitaurira zvakare kuti pane vamwe vanhu 2 vari kutiza, vari kuti we have enough food to stay on the island. This is despite the fact that water levels edu ari kuramba achikwira. Effort yese yekude kuedze kuvasunungura kuvabvisa pachitsuwi ichi is in vain, since vari kutizira mumabushes, mumathickets, zvokuti auoni kuti vakawanda papi, vakavanda papi. Saka meanwhile, we are engaging other stakeholders kuti vaende paground vanovatsvaga in order to rescue them.
Mr. Mashava revealed that the rescued people were at risk of being swept away by Save River or dying from hunger, as they could not cross to the other side of the river to replenish their stock. Oblivious of the looming danger, the 2 remaining marooned people have reportedly preferred to continue working on their island fields. Kenya's Chivuje, ZBC News, Chipinge.
Meanwhile, the government says the country is now out of the woods in terms of food security, with the bulk of maize and other crops having reached a maturing stage.
The bulk of the early planted maize crop has reached the maturity stage, a development which is expected to see most farmers achieving a good yield to contribute towards national food security.
Zviri kuyevedza zvakachaizvo izvo zvekutoti tiri kungonamata kudai mvura ikangoti svitsa muna Machi tayambuka. Mbeu inopa gohwo rakati kurei nokurima kwatakaita 6-7 tons.
Government and farmer organizations concur that the season has turned out to be favorable and the country is poised to achieve adequate food both at household and national levels.
We are assured of one thing, that we've got a good crop. But at the same time, even with the maize, which was also planted lately, is doing well. These rains are a boom to farmers.
In terms of food security, we are now really out of the woods. We have started to see in some areas who planted the early maize, they are now starting to be able to cook that and to roast that, which is a sign that now some families are becoming food secure. So we are really excited now that when these rains are predicted to continue in the next week and to the end of February, we know that the majority and the bulk of our maize crop will have reached physiological maturity.
Farmers have also been urged to be on the lookout and religiously scout for the fall armyworm, which can reduce their yields if not controlled. Tendai Munengwa, ZBC News.
Preparations for the National Youth Day celebrations set to be held in Bulawayo this Friday are progressing well, with the stakeholders working round the clock to make the day a success.
All roads from the breadth and length of Zimbabwe will this Friday lead to Bulawayo, where the National Youth Day celebrations will be held. This year's celebrations will start a day before the main event to cater for the inaugural Youth Festival that will see all organizations dealing with youth affairs taking part.
In terms of the state of preparedness, Bulawayo are very prepared to welcome the visitors from other provinces, and there is enough transport to ferry people from our locations here in Bulawayo province.
As a Bulawayo province, we are quite happy with the commitment we have seen. The Deputy Minister of Youth is in town. A lot of ministerial staff from various ministries are in town, and we're already planning on the ground. So we're quite happy to see the amount of commitment we're seeing towards this 21st National Youth Day.
Well, so far, most preparations have been done. We've come here to do the finishing touches in terms of transport, logistics, also the programs of the day.
Bulawayo Provincial Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Honorable Judith Ngobe, also shed more light about the event.
The participants are drawn from all of our 10 provinces. We want to encourage everyone to come and grace this very critical, very important function.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa is expected to lead proceedings during the National Youth Day celebrations in Bulawayo.
The government has made significant strides in ensuring the availability of tuberculosis medication across the country, a development commended by survivors and advocates as a crucial step towards eradicating the disease by 2030.
Although TB treatment and care are provided free of charge in Zimbabwe, interruptions can lead to multi-drug-resistant TB and increased mortality rates. In an interview with ZBC News, Zimbabwe National Network of TB Survivors chairperson, Mr. Stanley Sibanda, commended government initiatives of ensuring a steady supply of TB medicines, emphasizing their importance in the ongoing fight against the disease.
In the first quarter of 2024, with the problem of TB medicine shortages, but through the government interventions, TB medicines are available in all the clinics, in all the country's clinics. So at the moment, as the Zimbabwe National Network of TB Survivors, our duty is to make sure that people who are on TB medication get their medication in time and they complete their treatment.
Youth TB advocate Mr. Munyara Disaruchera echoed Sibanda's sentiments, expressing appreciation for government efforts in making TB medication available, including child-friendly medications.
Mishonga ye TB iri kuwanika uyezve tine mishonga inotori inokwanisa kushandiswa nevana yatinoti ma child friendly medication iripo toda kutenda ipapo nema efforts ari kuiswa nehurumende yedu.
Despite notable progress in combating TB, Zimbabwe remains one of the 30 countries with the highest burden of drug-resistant TB globally. According to the World Health Organization, nearly 10 million people fall ill with TB worldwide each year, resulting in 1.5 million deaths, despite the disease being preventable and curable. Abigail Tembo, ZBC News, Harare.
Primary and secondary school students across the country are undertaking comprehensive computer skills training as the government works to close the digital divide and empower the next generation of innovators.
The introduction of innovation hubs and industrial parks in 2018 marked a significant milestone in Zimbabwe's journey towards rapid industrialization and modernization. Since then, government has been forging partnerships with the private organizations to establish innovation hubs in primary and secondary schools across the country. This Monday, a delegation from the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, led by its Minister Honorable Torirai Moyo, toured several innovation hubs set up by a local tech organization in Harare to appreciate the scope of the initiative.
This coding is helping us a lot because it's making us understand ICT day by day, and it's making us efficient in technology.
When we learn computers, it may be easier for us to operate them.
We are learning a lot. Our intelligence is growing and we know how to code games.
We are trying to make Zimbabwe an easier place to work with based on technological advancement. So we are trying to make things accessible for those who are not able to access certain facilities like data.
Most of us were born before computers and we could not use the computers. The first day we had the 3-day workshop, teachers were afraid to handle the laptops and what if. Then we were told to be free, they won't be damaged. And we started learning. The learning was so good.
The implementers of the initiative, together with the government, have reaffirmed their commitment to inclusivity, emphasizing that no one and no place will be left behind.
The mission behind it was the drive for technology education to cover all of Zimbabwe. What we wanted to do was bring digital technology to theory.
We have aligned the heritage-based curriculum with the national trajectory Vision 2030. And by Vision 2030, we are saying we want to give digital tools to all the students. It's part of my legacy. It's part of the presidential legacy. His Excellency, the President's legacy. He wants to launch the electronic learning platform, which is a national project.
Through the implementation of the heritage-based education framework, the Second Republic is actively pursuing an innovation-led and knowledge-driven economy. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
Well, you can find these and other stories on our website at www.zbcnews.co.zw and also our social media platforms on X, on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Instagram and TikTok, including our WhatsApp channel. We are ZBC News Online.
Indeed, now for the stories still to come in this bulletin. Increased industrialization and economic activities spur fuel consumption in Zimbabwe. And in sport, mighty warriors head to Angola for the Africa Women Cup of Nations first leg qualifier. And on that note, we take a break, but when we come back, we'll give you the rest of the bulletin. Stay with us.
Stroke of genius! Introduce the stroke of genius. Oh! Zimbabwe yakuzosimuka manje. Stroke of genius and rukureva chera. President E.D. Mnangagwa vari kupa bankable, registrable and transferable title deeds na every farmer akapuwa munda pa land reform program. takanga takapuwa minda asi takanga tisina simba rekupindawo mumabhengi semamawo mabhizinesi kuti tipewo maloni akachipa tatakuwara nezvimbazo mani zvino nestroke of genius yekupuwa matitle deeds tikupindawo kumabhengi sevamwe titopuwa maloni takutodhivhelopa mafamba
saka kuduudza kuti land ese yatoneva
ende ukapuwa title deed iroro chera mundu wako uchatoreki yatova nhaka yevazukuru nevazukuru ndo zvinoda fama manje izvozvo security of tenure
iwe pandiri panapa ndakutokwanisa kutopa vana nhaka kuti chidimu chako ichi chemunda chidimu chako ichi
exactly
zvichifambiswa sei
president Idi Mnangagwa igenius manje vakabva vati kuti zvinyatofamba negwara rakatwasanuka zviri transparent ndobva vagadza inonzi land tenure implementation committee iri kushanda nemo mumapazi ehurumende
but iwo unozviziva iwo kuti kune maland barons akazara ukanofamba minda dzevanhu
dai vatoregera zvavo ndiwo ukopokopo husiri kudiwa napresident Mnangagwa irwohwo ndosaka land tenure implementation committee yakati ngatishandisei ma-ID numbers namba dzepachitupa kuti munhu haakwanisi kuva nemafamu maviri plus land tenure iyi committee haisi kupa minda patsvayo iri kutwasanudza pakupiwa kwematitle deeds
saka zvichireva kuti taatoprotected kasevarimi
exactly manje
ukaziva
kuti une stroke of genius here president Idi apa vasikira vana vezimbabwe upfumi
I love my boys. In the holidays, they sometimes spend their whole day playing soccer. They are my angels. I don't know why people in this area are always telling lies about them. But no matter what happens, I will always be there for them. That's what mums are for. New Aura Beauty Soap. For skin that glows. From the House of Zimgold.
Macaulay Resort and ZBC are hosting an epic roadshow at Stephen Macaulay Resort on Saturday, 22 February. Join us for a fun-filled day packed with fun activities like the Giant Swing and get to meet your favorite ZBC DJs and personalities. You also stand a chance to win amazing prizes. The grand prize being free executive accommodation for two at Stephen Macaulay Resort. Entry is $5 per person and $3 for kids under 12. For more information, call the following number 0779-080-906 or visit our social media pages at Stephen Macaulay Resort on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. This show is proudly brought to you by Stephen Macaulay Resort in partnership with ZBC. Stephen Macaulay Resort, an adventure and leisure paradise.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We head straight to Gutu district where an innovative farmer is making waves through improved production anchored on diversification.
With Gutu district being known for maize and livestock production, Mr. Sadza Uchi is defying the odds through full utilization of his 90-hectare piece of land by growing various crops such as tobacco, sugar bean and various nuts. Mr. Sadza Uchi is also into livestock, poultry farming and citrus tree production.
Isu tinowanzo kurima nemvura sevanhu vasati vodiridzira kuti dai zvokudiridzira zvaingopuwa kana kuti taingozviwana toda kuzvishandira totarisira kuti kana todiridzira tichadarika ipapa. Asi pari zvino chetinoita ndechekuti mvura yoga yoga nemwando woga woga unowanikwa hatina mwando watinotendera kuti udarike.
Despite initial skepticism from fellow farmers over tobacco farming in the area, Mr. Sadza Uchi's perseverance is paying off, with his crop being the most thriving.
Kurima fodya tane makore mana tichirima of which tatiri vanhu vanga vachitanga takatanga gore rokutanga ne1 hectare, gore rakatevera takaita 2 hectares, retatu takaita 3 hectares, gore rino takabva taita a total of 7 hectares dzefodya. Tine mavarieties anoinge mana atakarima pano. Takaona kuti utikaucha taiti tikarima makabeji dzimwe nguva munondowana akafladha, marume madomasi mawana akafladha. Chibva taona kuti tirime tinofanira kutrita kurima sebusiness.
Other farmers in the area are also coming to learn from the expert farmer who is excelling despite various threats including climate change.
Tadzidza mbeu dzakarimwa pano kunyanya kufodya ukadzidzisa vana kushambira vari kumba havana chavanoziva.
Chokutanga kana uchirima usarima somunhu usingazivi kwaanoenda, rima zvakati wandei uye panoda gadziriro yemainputs.
Pano pana vashandi vakawanda, pane huku, pane mombe, pane zvirimwa zviripo.
Speaking during a field day held at Mr. Sadza Uchi's farm, Masvingo Provincial Agricultural Advisory Services Director Mr. Caleb Mahoya spoke on government's commitment to supporting farmers for increased production.
Tikanga taita agricultural development, chii chimwe chatiri kutarisira kubva kuvarimi vedu, tiri kutarisira yatinoti rural industrialization.
Given that agriculture is the main pillar of the country's economy, government has continued to support this sector through various programs, including funding and mechanization. Ms. Martina, ZBC News, Gutu.
And now we cross over to our Montrose studios where Dora Ngube is on standby to give us part of the bulletin. Good evening to you, Dora.
Thank you so much, Terry. I must say, you're looking beautiful in that hairstyle. A lovely evening to you, and of course, a lovely evening to Justin. We now continue with the news from this end. Government's thrust to bridge the digital divide between the once marginalized communities and urban areas continues to gain traction, with the Mlambaphela community of Kwanda South set to benefit from the Portras Tower relocation program.
On our way to Mankonkoni irrigation scheme along the Shashe River in Kwanda South, we passed through a business center in Mashaba area and we asked for a spot to make a call because of network challenges. To our surprise, we were told that we only needed to have a neighboring Botswana network line to make calls because all the three Zimbabwe networks are not available in the borderline area. This scenario poses difficulties to the villagers who cannot cross the flooded Shashe River during rain season, which makes it difficult to communicate.
In network econet net1 lapha iyahluka ukuthi uyithole ukuthi uyegada intaba ayi imascom ngani isimple ukutholakala
awukwanisi ukuthi ufonde umuntu uhambe emgwaqweni sometimes ama information amaningi asiyeqa
tale effect ukuthi net1 econet yathini even telecell yathini.
All hope is, however, not lost after the Post and Telecommunications Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe, Portras, through its tower relocation program, has started the erection of a tower at Mlambaphela border post, which the local leadership said will bridge the information gap that existed between the borderline areas and the urban areas.
The government kati tusairi tusije kane tuwekivile ilukua iyo stage yauri this month or next month to avile rine network
au kavani booster mo rito vani buphilo babu tsikamata rikwancha ubereka lo communicator le bangwe.
The Deputy Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Dr. Umpile Marupi, who is also the area legislator who toured the tower construction site, reiterated government's thrust to bridge the digital divide between once marginalized communities and urban areas.
For quite some time, we've always found it very difficult to connect with the world. With this project, we are really happy because it gets to fulfill the Vision 2030 drive that is talking of a digital economy.
The Czech Republic is on an inclusive development trajectory which is targeting to achieve a digital economy by 2030. Providence Maranelli, ZBC News, Kwanda.
Local authorities have commended government for availing devolution funds, which have become a game changer in local development and the advancement of sustainable development goals.
A Regional Sustainable Development Goals (SDG) localization and voluntary review capacity building workshop recently held in Victoria Falls saw parties being employed to localize and integrate development goals into local communities. It is in this context that local authorities are an essential vehicle in the implementation of various projects to attain the SDGs. Local authorities are cognizant of this role and testify that the Devolution Fund is a game changer as it is funding projects such as solarized boreholes, clinics and schools, among others.
The availing of devolution funds, as it does, is the prime financial enablement vehicle that government uses in the attainment of the sustainable development goals.
The devolution funds, they are a funding source which will enable local authorities to implement some of the projects which will support this Vision 2030 through implementation of SDGs. So it's very critical that we have that oiling in the form of devolution funds.
While progress has been made in some areas, many challenges remain, and a guaranteed source of funding is seen as essential to accelerating progress and ensuring no one is left behind. The world is halfway through the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. SDGs seek to resolve poverty, gender inequality, climate resilience, and provide quality education, among other objectives. Tichao Nakurewa, ZBC News, Victoria Falls.
100 goats have been distributed in the Midlands province under the Young Women for ED Goat Pass On scheme, which targets to empower rural communities and improve livelihoods.
The Young Women for Economic Development has launched the Presidential Goat Pass On scheme in Shurugwi district at Vungwi Primary School this Monday, where over 300 women from 8 districts benefited from this scheme. Young Women for ED National Chairperson Honorable Tatenda Mavetera encouraged women from the Midlands province to take advantage of economic empowerment programs being availed to them by government.
Distributwa zvakafanira kuma districts ese. Atidi kuti kutange kupuwa nekuti vanowirana na chair kana vanowirana nemutungamiri. Amen.
The government is convinced that the program is in line with government's efforts of achieving an upper middle income society by 2030.
Today's event therefore complements the Second Republic's desire to empower our rural communities, guided by the mantra Nika inovakwa igotongwa nevene vayo, of leaving no one and no place behind, as we glide towards the attainment of a prosperous and an empowered upper middle income society earlier than 2030.
The Goat Pass On scheme was rolled out to boost the capacity of women small-scale farmers for them to be key players in the economic sector. Karajushe, ZBC News, Shurugwi.
Impressive women empowerment projects going on throughout the country. Tari, it's now back to you.
Indeed, thank you very much for that update, Dora. We're back at our Pockets Hill studios to give you more of the news. Now, the Ministry of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage appeared before the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Defence, Home Affairs, Security Services and War Veterans Affairs this Monday. The focus was on realigning the Vagrancy Act to meet contemporary demands. And we get more details in the upcoming report.
The decades-old Vagrancy Act came under scrutiny in Parliament, where government officials faced questions about the law, particularly its definition of idle and disorderly, which human rights groups argue is vague and open to abuse. The Zimbabwe Human Rights Association submitted a petition arguing the Act violates the Constitution and international human rights standards, demanding its realignment.
While it is our view that the Act is still relevant in maintenance of law and order, it should be noted that there is also need to align the Act with the Constitution in order to remove sections which are deemed discriminatory and have derogatory undertones.
The discussion included what constitutes vagrancy and potential rehabilitation strategies.
Touts and vendors basically are seeking a means of survival. And that's in an honest way. You can't criminalize that. What is simply required is organizing vendors or the touts.
The Zimbabwe Republic Police addressed enforcement measures and their commitment to protecting citizens from criminal activity.
Any given police station, you find that there are some boundaries where we have the officer in charge of his place. If vagrants are within his area of jurisdiction, it's very easy for him to determine that you go along the streets, corner, intersection, so and so, there is a vagrant who is dwelling there. So it's very easy to deal with such situation. It's not someone who just walks into the town and the police doesn't know him and they try to take the person to the magistrate's court to say he's a vagrant.
The Vagrancy Act was enacted in 1964 and empowers the police to arrest vagrants or anyone who encourages another person to become a vagrant. Wellington Makonese, ZBC News, Harare.
And now to stories from beyond our borders, where the South African Weather Service has issued a level 5 warning for severe thunderstorms.
According to the warning, severe thunderstorms are expected to affect the central and eastern parts of the country, mainly Gauteng, the northwest, as well as parts of the Free State, Mpumalanga and Limpopo from this Monday to the 20th of February. In the meantime, City of Johannesburg's Emergency Management Services, the EMS, has urged residents, especially those in informal settlements, as the storms might cause flash floods in low-lying areas. Rainfall of between 30 millimeters to 50 millimeters is expected across the affected regions.
The situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC remains volatile, with the M23 rebels having captured Bukavu, the second largest city in the eastern DRC, including the regional governor's office. Reports say Congolese soldiers and allied troops from Burundi had retreated from Bukavu's military base on Friday. The same day, M23 took control of the regional airport around 30 kilometers outside of Bukavu. In the meantime, the DRC government has urged residents to stay at home to avoid being targeted by the rebels as they closely monitor the situation.
United States, US and Russian officials are scheduled to meet in Saudi Arabia this Tuesday to discuss the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Along with multiple Russian media outlets, CNN has also confirmed that this meeting is set. According to Saudi officials, their team, led by the country's national security advisor, will take part in the mediation effort, while the U.S. delegation is expected to include Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and Middle East Envoy Steve Witkoff. Reports say Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is expected to visit Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump says he could meet Russian President Vladimir Putin very soon and expects Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will be involved in the talks.
And now we take a short break, but when we come back, we'll be updating you in the world of business. Stay tuned.
Kwekuyenda nakamari kekuspenda
Zimbabwe.
The Zimbabwe Tourism Authority is calling all operators of tourist facilities who have not registered or those with expired licenses and certificates to come forward and register their facilities in compliance with the provisions of Section 36 of the Tourism Act, Chapter 14, 20 of 1996 by 15 February 2025. According to Statutory Instrument Number 106 of 1996, categories of the tourist facilities that must be registered with the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority include but are not limited to conference organizers, restaurants, whether in hotel or otherwise, fast food restaurants, vehicle, bicycle, boat, bus hire, courier shops, tour operators, hunting operators, tour guides, non-hotel conference facilities and venues, travel agents including those online, accommodation including hotels, lodges, guest houses, camps and campsites, bed and breakfast accommodation, Airbnb accommodation, visitor attractions including game parks, farms, art galleries, visitor activities including golf, horse riding, bungee jumping, wedding venues, picnic or braai sports, open air function venues. All facilities that register or renew their licenses and certificates on or before the 15th of February 2025 will have no penalties charged. From the 1st of March 2025, the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority, in conjunction with law enforcement agents, will be deployed to bring all unregistered facilities to book. For further information and assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us at the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority offices that are located across the country. Travel and experience Zimbabwe. Zimbo.
At Tel1, we're more than just a communications company. We're connecting Zimbabwe to a brighter future. We're proud to be the backbone of Zimbabwe's internet, powering internet service providers and connecting people, businesses, and communities through our wholesale services, paving the way for a brighter future. We offer a range of digital solutions, from cloud services to managed services, empowering businesses to innovate and thrive. Our high-speed broadband services bring entertainment to your home for endless joyous moments. We believe in the power of education and are committed to bridging the digital divide, ensuring everyone has access to the tools they need to succeed. Join Tel1 and be part of a connected Zimbabwe. Visit our website today to explore our services and solutions.
Step up with DSTV and we'll show up by giving you more incredible entertainment.
Going to have a little fun.
Upgrade your subscription between the 13th of January and the 31st of March and get an even higher package for a whole month on us.
To the back of the net!
There's nothing better than putting a little bit in but getting a lot out.
This is the time to take risks.
Incredible!
I've heard good things about you. Don't let me down.
Step up and we'll show up on your home of entertainment, DSTV.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We now give you the business news. Zimbabwe's fuel consumption grew by over 10% to nearly 8 billion litres in 2024 compared to just over 7 billion litres in 2023, driven by increased industrialization, infrastructure development, as well as economic activities. More details in the next report.
According to the Zimbabwe Energy Regulatory Authority ZERA, diesel accounted for the bulk of fuel consumption at over 1.2 billion litres on the back of infrastructure projects, mining, agriculture activities, and the manufacturing boom. It was followed by petrol, where over 570 million litres of the commodity was consumed by industry and households. The energy regulator reveals that the rise in the aviation activities, driven by more airlines into Zimbabwe and a growth in tourism activities, resulted in the consumption of over 95 million litres of Jet A1 fuel. Experts are contend that the rise in industrialization and economic activities will further continue to drive demand for fuel in Zimbabwe.
Fuel is a direct correspondent or driver of the number of vehicles in the country, and secondly, it's the amount of activity that you see. So between last year to this year, we can definitely see that there's continuing to be an influx of new vehicles, or rather second-hand vehicles coming to the country. And that's indicative of that the vehicle population is also growing 2 to 3% per annum.
Fuel is part and parcel of the energy requirements. And in any active economy that you have got, besides your electricity, your water, your fuel is a critical input. It is also a measurement in terms of the economic activity that is taking place in various sectors. There is a lot of consumption of fuel in the agricultural sector, in the mining sector, distribution and transport sectors because of the increase in economic activity.
In Zimbabwe, the private sector is the major player in fuel retailing, while the National Oil Company of Zimbabwe manages the fuel pipeline and storage facilities. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
Now to the arts, where 5-year-old Zimbabwe-born fashion model Aita Gombi has been selected for the Thailand Fashion Week set for June this year. Aita becomes the country's youngest model to grace the international event.
The Australian-based budding fashion model is excited about being chosen to slay the catwalks of Manila at this year's Thailand Fashion Week.
Hi everybody, my name's Aita. I'm 5 years old and I'm a fashion model. I like to do modeling because it's so much fun. Excited for Thailand!
Her manager, Bonnie Sullivan, is excited at the prospects of working with Aita.
I got given a chance to scout 3 models for Fashion Week 2025 before our show even begun. I had then scouted 3 models from Sydney, and one of them was including Aita, where she will then go on to walk in a fashion show in Thailand, Bangkok. This will be Fashion Week and it is for Manila Runway. We are extremely excited to be working very close with them, and we cannot wait to see what Aita brings to the runway.
Aita's most notable achievements include the Most Discovery of the Year accolade in the 2025 Australian Golden Sash Awards. Farai Gwaze, ZBC News, Harare.
True to her name, Aita has done it and is flying the Zimbabwean flag high. Now, the Zimbabwean delegation to the 38th edition of the Surajkund International Crafts Mela Festival met the country's ambassador to India, Ms. Stella Nkomo, this Monday. The meeting discussed the need for local artists to learn from their Indian counterparts.
The 20-member Zimbabwean delegation, comprising Zimbabwean artists and government officials, met with the country's representative to India, where discussions noted the need to learn from their Indian counterparts and other participants at the fiesta.
These kinds of festivals are very important in terms of exposing our culture to other people, what we call cultural exchange, but also for networking purposes. Such initiatives also allow our craftspeople to come and learn how to, number one, monetize the talent which they have. Number two, how to collaborate with like-minded individuals to make sure that they take their business plans to another level.
While it is a platform for cultural diplomacy, the fair has been a platform to create synergies between countries from around the world, with the Zimbabwean delegation upbeat of fruitful cooperation with other countries.
Of note, I think we've had collaborations primarily with members from the region, SADC. We've had the Tanzanian groups, the Mozambican groups, and they have even come together to get collaborations even when we get back home. The event also serves as a platform for exploring economic opportunities primarily for our crafters. They've also managed to create synergies with fellow colleagues from the region. I can make mention of Swaziland, Tanzania, our neighbors. So being here has connected us to the international market.
The fair, which is the biggest of its kind, running from the 7th to the 23rd of February, has seen the participation of more than 51 countries, with
over 1 million people attending daily. Patience Nyagato, SABC News, India.
Well, that's the arts. Next, we look at latest in sport with Lawrence Trusida. But first, we take a break.
Yes guys, nasi ndafunga kwenda kumusha. Dimbo spend time na family rangu. Damu ndapenda mu chicken bazi. Munoizere chicken bazi. Chicken bazi.
Kangoma joroga uya zwewe. Kwae wakabva Johnny, ango neze Jojedi. Vate vasina grocery.
Ndi joro kumashops. Hayi obvious apana chaidzo kana chone nungo dziri pape ungazi ngoro ne grocery pape.
Anga vangozara manene.
Kuna chiri kuzo.
Ndava ndaona memblazi mubazi. Anotaurisa munhu uyu.
Indonzi Lee.
Tats.
Uruboko.
Australia.
Alright. Kana tiwezi mswana kunana kutengesa unozungutsvaga zvantu.
Say.
Zatato hama kudai se.
Okay, bro.
Acheni.
Alright. Tubasi.
Ongoi penzi cut.
Tats.
Oh, tats.
Guys, ndaona munhu achitengesa chibage. And I've been at chibage maybe 10 years. Dikati. Imari chibage. $40. Murotora iko ken? Alright.
0773 426 300.
Alright. Yaita here.
Yaita, thank you.
Guys, chiri kunuwirira. Ndazosvika kumusha manje.
Joy after joy. Want to elevate your entertainment? Then add Showmax to your DSTV subscription at a discount. Showmax is not a TV channel. It's an on-demand video streaming service on showmax.com. To add Showmax to your DSTV subscription, simply use the My DSTV app. Select Add Showmax. The app screen will display the discount you qualify for. Now you can enjoy exclusive shows and movies you won't find anywhere else. Add Showmax to elevate your entertainment.
It's a pleasant evening and welcome to Sports News this beautiful Monday evening. My name is Lawrence Trusida. We start off with football news where the Mighty Warriors are off to Luanda, Angola, ready to take on the hosts in the Africa Women Cup of Nations first leg encounter.
As the girls departed for Angola this Monday, head coach Zitetelo Lisbanda expressed confidence in the team's preparations, saying they are geared up for the match against Angola, slated for the El Stadio Joaquim Diniz in Luanda on Thursday.
We don't want to look at previous matches. We know they are a good team, very athletic, obviously also at home, playing under humid conditions in Angola. We need to be at our best, but I like the morale in camp. Everyone is ready to go. You know, always, especially with the local best coming from off-season, the first match, everyone is really hungry for football.
The Mighty Warriors will hold training sessions in the Angolan capital this Tuesday and Wednesday before plunging into the real battle on Thursday. The return leg is scheduled to take place at the Lucas Moripa Stadium in Pretoria a week later. The winner of the tie will face Malawi in the final qualifying round in October for a place at the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations finals in Morocco. Malawi have already booked their place in the next round of qualifiers after the withdrawal of Congo. Anna Shemrombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
We certainly hope that the Mighty Warriors will make the nation proud on Wednesday. Still with football news, Warriors midfielder Tawanda Chirewa's scintillating form continued at the weekend after the Zimbabwean winger picked up his second successive Man of the Match award for Huddersfield Town in the English League One.
Chirewa's impressive display, which included a dominant performance in the 2-1 win over Bamsley, set the tone for a thrilling weekend of action from Zimbabwe's national team players. Is not alone, as other Warriors have been making waves in their respective overseas clubs, showcasing their skills and talent on the biggest stage. Bel Antonio also made a significant impact for McLean and the Belgian Pro League, registering his first assist of the season in a 1-0 win over Real Union St. Gelos. Antonio started and played for 64 minutes, recording 2 chances, including a spectacular volley that was denied by the keeper. Elsewhere, Warriors vice-captain Marshall Munezi made his English Premier League debut for Wolves, playing in an unfamiliar role in a 2-1 loss against Liverpool. Manuel Gonzalo Guedes was pulled for Munezi to come in as a centre-forward. Despite the defeat, Munezi impressed with his performance, having a glorious chance just 4 minutes after his introduction, which was denied by Reds keeper Alisson Becker. Anna Shemrombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
From the beautiful game, we move on to the gentlemen's game, where the Chevrons are looking to arrest a pattern that has seen them losing at the last 4 series after winning the first match. Zimbabwe and Ireland are logged at 1-0 ahead of the one-day international series decider this Tuesday at Harare Sports Club.
Zimbabwe have made it a habit of winning the first match of the series before going on to lose the remaining encounters. This pattern has been running for some time now, since India toured Zimbabwe 2 years ago, while it has been the same script against Bangladesh, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Chevron's ODI captain Craig Irvine is however determined to make sure his team changes the trend in the decider this Tuesday.
We need to stick to our processes, we need to stick to our plans, and try and execute those as best we can, and also stay in the moment and not look too far ahead. You know, you want to go out there and you want to win, but there's a process to winning. I think we need to stick to those processes. I think all we can do is turn up on Tuesday and try and give it our best shot again.
Zimbabwe last won an ODI series 3 years ago when they beat Netherlands 2-1 at Harare Sports Club, and since then they have had no success in 6 attempts.
We continue to say, go Chevrons, go. That puts a wrap on sports news, but as I leave, let's get to hear the weather patterns tomorrow as the Chevrons take on Ireland in the series decider.
Good evening, Zimbabwe, and welcome to tonight's weather report and forecast. Hope I find you well. With a bit of rain showers across much of the country, with Selous recording one of the highest with 61 millimeters, Kwekwe 40, Kariba 33 are some of the meaningful falls that fell across the country. However, for much of this week, our rainfall should be concentrated over the northern parts of the country, covering Matabeleland, North Mashonaland provinces, as well as the northern part of the Midland. The south should also get a touch of moisture. We're expecting a bit of downpours as we get into Wednesday, especially over Matabeleland south, where we're seeing the yellow color there, and we expect those rainfalls to give us generally mild conditions even tonight for much of the country. Tomorrow we're expecting cooler conditions over the south. We're expecting less in terms of the precipitation, more precipitation over the northern parts, with Bulawayo projected to be under cloudy conditions for much of this period. Isolated showers cannot be ruled out in this place. Harare also projecting the same, more to evening and afternoon showers for much of this week, but generally light in terms of falls. Same for Matopo, we're expecting cooling winds as we get into much of Wednesday, with downpours projected over Matabeleland south. Masvingo also under the same influence of those southeasterlies, with Gwanda projected to be having downpours as we get into Wednesday. But for Gweru, we're expecting them to be more uniform across the week. We're expecting isolated showers as we get into the weekend. For Kwekwe, we're expecting the same, with a few downpours in places, but nothing very drastic in nature. Same for Kaduna, we're expecting generally cloudy conditions with a few isolated showers. Fortunately, we're expecting more downpours with a few sunny breaks here and there. Same for Harare, we're expecting Lupane to have more cloudy conditions with rain showers intermittent. in nature. For Victoria Falls, it's a bit of cloud here and there and a few rain showers as well. Same for Bindura, we're expecting more rain showers for much of that under the influence of the Intertropical Convergence Zone. For Karibu, we're expecting the same with Marundera also projecting a bit of showers for much of this week. For Nyanga, we're expecting the mountains to give us a bit of orographic rainfall over those eastern highlands. And with that, we wish you a pleasant evening and back to the news desk.
And that concludes tonight's news bulletin from all of us here at Pockets Hill, as well as the team at our Montrose studios. It's good night.